This is ridiculous. $2 a liter gas in a country with the fourth largest oil reserves on the entire planet. Canada should literally be raking it in right now. Instead, the cost of living is going up and life is becoming more difficult for hardworking Canadians. Why is that?
And Canada's broken because we're stupid. Okay? Canada's broken because we're stupid.
Well, this is the result of one anti-energy policy after another that hasn't put Canada or Canadians' interests first. Let's start just with taxes. Around 55 cents a liter of gas, depending on where you live in BC, goes straight to the government in the form of taxation, including excise taxes, transit taxes, hidden carbon taxes, and the GST, which you pay not just on the cost of fuel, but on the top of other taxes as well. Second, in some places in the country, especially here in British Columbia, we don't even have enough refineries to refine our own oil. So we become dependent on marginal high-dollar imports from other countries, usually the United States, a country that buys our oil on the cheap, refines it, and then sells it back to us at a huge markup. A fact that not only costs you more when you go to fill up your tank, but also undermines our energy independence. And lastly, governments have repeatedly over the past few years torpedoed or otherwise undermined attempts to get critical pipeline infrastructure built in our country. And this is important for a couple reasons. First, pipelines, like in the case of Trans Mountain, can actually move refined products like gasoline and diesel to areas where they are needed most, reducing the price, again, that you pay. Pipelines like Energy East could also eliminate the dependence of Canada's East Coast refineries on more expensive foreign oil. And also, pipelines could allow Canadian oil to finally reach new markets where it could receive top dollar instead of being sold at a discount to the United States. A fact that would dramatically increase the value of our currency and by extension reduce the cost of everything else in our society, including gasoline. But maybe most importantly, a combination of new pipelines and new refineries would also allow Canada to achieve true energy independence and energy sovereignty, allowing us to insulate and protect ourselves from global price shocks and wars overseas if absolutely required. A fact that in an increasingly chaotic and unpredictable world is more important than ever.
Oh, yeah.
Remember last week, and this to me showed that Canada is beyond.
Listen to this. This is pretty wild.
Beyond repair, or damn close to beyond repair. Do you remember when the Canadian airliner crashed in New York, and we're still scrambling to find answers on what happens? And the CEO of was Air Canada. The CEO of Air Canada is actually fired or has to resign because when he came out with a statement, he didn't issue it in French as well. So their plane is still smoldering on the tarmac. They have no idea what's going on. And Air Canada and Canadian government forces this guy to resign because he wasn't inclusive. He didn't also issue his statement in French. That's how crazy it is. So we're up talking over the weekend about the dark side of the moon. Nobody's ever thought about it. You know, Victor is up there saying, listen, let me give you some perspective. What do the Canadians do? Well, listen, here it is.
Pour moi, une chose qui est vraiment importante, c'est de trouver vos passions et suivez ces passions, mais aussi partagez-les avec les autres. Parce que pour faire des...
That's some pretty bad French.
This guy is like me speaking French, okay? I mean, this is the worst French I've ever heard. It sounds like he's a butcher. He sounds like me, honestly, speaking English, let alone French.
I don't mean to take away from the astronaut's flight, but it's a good point he's making about Carney's hypocrisy.
French. So we're saying, you know, we just put 4 astronauts, we're just seeing the moon, and they're literally tweeting, "We spoke French in space." Wow, Canada, really, you've come to that? Now, it's not just me saying this. Ricky, can you give me the tweet from...
Yeah, it's from the Prime Minister, Mark Carney. He is super, super proud of the fact that the first astronaut in history to speak French while en route to the moon, Canada's very own Astro Jeremy. And, Jeremy, thanks for hanging out with our astronauts up there.
No,
this
nice.
is not something to celebrate,
No.
tubers.
Did anybody say when the Chinese go up in space, did anybody say,
I'm glad he's French, but it's a Canadian accomplishment. It's
they're the first,
so many groups, they keep dividing everyone.
first people to speak Chinese in space. We never said that when we went to the moon. We're the first English people to speak English. We're the first people to speak English in space. That's not the big deal. I don't know if you know that. That's not the big deal. Babylon B has the greatest story today. Listen to this. In accordance with Canadian law,
Babylon
the crew
B.
of NASA's Artemis II mission successfully euthanized Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen after discovering he had suffered a light bruise during takeoff. Artemis II is NASA's first mission to the moon since 1972, a truly historic launch for everyone.
That seemed like a long time to wait in between trips, like 50 years.
Involved,
is
except
a
for
long
Hansen,
time.
who is now deceased.
Right.
No one should have to live like with this kind of an injury, said Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. When I heard about the bumpy launch, I contacted NASA immediately to make sure that they put Colonel Hansen out of his misery right away. I mean, to have a bruise like this? According to reports, Hansen's colleagues initially resisted the order to kill him, citing the lack of proper equipment on board the shuttle. But with assistance from ground control, the crew successfully re-engineered hardware from the life support systems to create the necessary equipment to administer a deadly toxin into his bloodstream. In his final communication to Earth, Hansen reportedly said, "Please, it's just a bruise. I want to live." A poignant message which Canadian experts attributed to space madness. At publishing time, the remaining members of Artemis II crew announced its plan to honor their fallen Canadian crewmate by using extra maple syrup with their next pancake breakfast tomorrow morning. I mean, that's hysterical. What's so sad is it's true. They are almost to bruises. 100,000 people have died. It is the fourth or fifth leading cause of death now in Canada, and they are celebrating it. They're going even deeper on this. You can go in for depression. Why have any psychiatrists? Seriously, why have any psychiatrists? What does psychiatry do? It's, you have a problem, you are thinking crazy things, like, I don't know, I want to cut all my body parts off and become something I can't become. We can't talk about that. And up in Canada, now they're saying you come into a doctor for depression, even as a teenager, and they will offer you MAID. So I came into the hospital because I've been having these thoughts about killing myself, and, well, we can do it for you. Would you like some help on that? That's insanity.
But can we talk about, the feminine qualities of our president for a minute? Okay,
everything is so gay.
Yes.
I mean the
No offense, but yes.
ballrooms and gold everything, and
the millwork on the walls and everything. He's so proud of it.
It's a very butch administration, and Hegseth with the we want no gays. We just want well-shaved, strapping young men in perfect shape. I mean the whole thing is. It's
amazing. It really is.
It's very gay.
Threats to annex Canada may have stopped because of the president's deference to one man. A new book is offering insight into the role of King Charles. Julia Chapman on this for us. And Julia, the book derives the detail from an interview with the U.S. president.
That's right, David. This is a book written by Robert Hardman, a British journalist and royal commentator. It's mostly about Queen Elizabeth II, but it does also touch on King Charles. And he interviewed President Trump back in December, speaking about his relationship with the late Queen, with the current king. He says the US president asked him what he thought about his plans for Greenland. He said he disapproved, and he said, while we're at it, leave Canada alone as well, or you'll make the king king very unhappy. Now, Hardman says the response that he got from President Trump was one of surprise that Canada still has a monarchy, suggesting it wasn't something he was aware of. He says President Trump also lambasted Canada's leaders, political leaders, saying that they are terrible, and complained about where the US-Canada border had been drawn, saying it.
Do you guys believe a word of this? Like, I'm not sure if I do.
Should have been some 50 miles further north, but he appeared to back away from any kind of threat to take Canadian territory, saying that it wasn't something that he was going to achieve in the time he had left in office. Now, CBC News has reached out to the Prime Minister's office and the White House for
Don't worry, CBC News is on the case.
comment.
The king also set for a state visit to the United States, I believe later this month. Can you describe the relationship between the U.S. president and the royal family?
It's pretty cordial, fairly friendly. Donald Trump said in that interview with Robert Hardman, he thought that Queen Elizabeth liked him, their first meeting together lasting a lot longer than it was originally scheduled to. And Queen...
It was like a no kings protest, except you had to pay to be there. And it was just a bunch of, you know...
the UK government sending the king and queen to the United States, and that suggests that this is something they're hoping can help improve the relationship at a moment of difficult diplomatic tension.
There's like the new Democratic Party of Canada, and they had their like annual fucking retard convention. And it was like a no kings protest, except you had to pay to be there. And it was just a bunch of, you know, people with the keffiyeh and the fucking, you know, and the lady running it's white, lesbian with the, like, trans Hitler haircut. And she's up there being like, point of privilege, point of privilege. And there's like some fat, retarded Asian transgender person being like, oh, so I had my privilege card revoked because I took a shit in the wrong bag. I don't know what they were like.
Canadians seem to be feeling a little more European these days.
This is the craziest one. Global just thinks that people will ingest this or see this and think it's okay.
These days. The idea of one day joining the European Union appears to be gaining traction, even if it's not officially on the table.
Canadians just seem to be very much in the world of, let's see what's possible now.
Spark Advocacy surveyed 4,000 Canadians last month and found the majority open to the possibility of Canada in the EU. 25% think Canada joining the European Union is a good idea, while 58% say it's worth exploring more.
And as the most European of the non-European countries, Canada looks first to the European Union.
Prime Minister Mark Carney has sought closer ties with Europe and Asia ever since U.S. President Donald Trump launched a trade war against Canada and upended one of the most successful economic partnerships in history.
That the big relationship that we've had with the United States isn't going to be as important or isn't going to be the same.
There is only one player that can change everything.
Just 3 weeks ago, while discussing the power of the European bloc, France's foreign minister suggested Canada could be one of its newest members.
Iceland in a few weeks or months, and maybe Canada at some point.
But that possibility still appears far off.
The short answer is no. That's not the intent. That's not the pathway we're on. We cooperate much more clearly and broadly to our mutual benefit, but not as a member.
While there's no concrete proposal for Canada to become part of the EU, it's all part of a broader conversation about how the European Union could grow stronger and emerge as a third superpower, capable of balancing the interests of Beijing and Washington.
They're all so full of it, guys. Like Aaron, Canadian Looney, smash the like, hit subscribe, get your Canadian federal politics here. Like, it's not. It's a hard thing to describe.
As a European, I am a European, actually.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm an Irish citizen. Yeah, so there you
welcome.
go.
Welcome.
Speaking as a European, I like to say following. And as the most European of the non-European countries, Canada looks first to the European Union to build a better world. And we really have two choices as a jurisdiction, as a country in this circumstance. We can nostalgically look back and long for the old order to somehow return, or we can build a new one with purpose and partnership. And so today, this is a new era of cooperation.
Like what we're trying to show. We're trying to show the corruption and the frontline politics, because we show that too when it's happening, but those guys get a lot of time off. That's it. Anyways, smash the like, hit subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll get you in the next one. Ciao for now. Global news media is such a letdown. What are you gonna do?
Just because it's all made up anyway.